I have difficulty imagining dachshunds hunting badgers.
Oh no, I don't, because when I had my first dachshund here in Rome, there used to be many more priests with long skirts, and you always went under the skirts.
Right.
I want to tell you about the show at the opening. To me, the most rewarding thing of the whole show was that 3 painter friends of mine said that they liked these 2 best, and I really made, that was the best to me. They understood me. Problem with that, because you were shocked when I told you actually it was going to be cut, because I'm basically a landscape painter, and landscapes are horizontal. Nothing to do with it. A friend of mine actually said, "Oh, I like the painting, the Arch of Triumph best." The Arch of Triumph. I said, "What Arch of Triumph?" What's very important to me is the flowers in the bedroom. Very few people notice that.
Oh, it was just beautiful. Of course I noticed that.
I think actually we probably ought always to have flowers.
Should we go in the... Yeah.
I'm going to bring some on Monday.
Alright, but you know.
Oh look,
but I think
that to me somehow.
it's a nice thing to do.
Yeah, it's the one you have too. That's the urn. This. Should I turn it a little bit? You didn't see that. That's very important to me.
That's the man that I
This
have.
is the one you gave me, the postcard of.
Yeah. Is this the room that Keats died in?
Hmm?
Is this the room that Keats died in?
Yes.
You decided not to put any artwork in here. You decided not to put any pieces in here.
Yes. Just that, but not many people notice it.
No, I didn't notice it, and I ought to.
Mm.
Let's see. Can you see Piazza di Spagna out here?
It's a terrible story.
It's interesting to me because it puts together medical myths. It puts together medical myths and Roman myths. The myth that Rome is warm in the winter.
Yeah.
The myth that the warmth will do tuberculosis good.
It was a terrible trip. We had a terrible time, and I should have left him at home.
Okay.
There's a little book here that's very sad. It tells you all about the last spring. I mean, he had enough strength first to go up to the Pincho, but just
He walked around Naples. He walked around Naples when they both
oh,
stopped.
that I didn't know.
I read that in the book. Let's poke around the mixtures.
And here is, on the other side, is a watercolor with the poem of the old Grecian art.
Oh, and on this side is also the ode. Okay.
I'm going to give it to the museum. Hopefully it has it down there. your own reflection.
Oh, that's wonderful.
You know, I read in the Republica yesterday, which was full of stupid and violent news. And there was some fantastic news is that in the Trajan's Forum, they found that there are freshwater crabs all over the place. And they've been there probably since Roman times. Don't know how much film you've left. But this one has a very long title, that watercolor, the Tondo.
What's the title? Wait a minute. What? Like this.
This is also the island.
What does this have a relation? Oh, it's also the island.
It's got the island Tino and Tineto and the lighthouse. It's called Early Cherries.
And you have it.
It looks very fresh and it's so old.
Well, you store them well.
Hmm?
You store them well. What is stacked and it adds up?
I call it hopscotch, or it adds up. It's also the island. The island and the sun. And then this is something between a lion and an elephant. That's pomegranate. It's a little cup with a thing, flower in it.
Okay. What's in here?
Then they're always here, but I wanted to, before your film runs out or anything, or one, to me,
I have another hour on the. I have an hour on this.
Okay. Now here, this is one of my favorite installations here. I mean, that I invented. That's Andromeda being supposedly liberated by Perseus, but she rather likes some monster.
And her shackles.
And I think that below there's some locks of Shelley and some pieces of his jawbone.
Pieces of his jawbone?
Yes.
Is
Isn't
that
it?
true?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
true.
I started it a long time ago and then I worked on it, changed it.
Yeah.
And it's got the island on the horizon. It's the last one with the island.
This is one of the problems. Occasionally, it happens to me.
And there was in this little bay there in Fiascardino is a freshwater spring, and that's where D.H. Lawrence wrote The Rainbow. And so I called it Aretusa because in Sicily is a spring of Aretusa, which is fresh water in the sea.
I think, I'm not sure, I'm waiting to find out, but I think that I met her here. And I think that she was the one who asked, you know, that pencil sketch of Keats, and she was the one who asked if he was masturbating with it or not. Which is the only person that ever asked.
It's actually, I wanted that painting, Susan. You know, I'm in this, what you and I worked for, Scaramanzia, I won't say what we worked on together. One part of the book would be called The Happy Swimmer, and this would be a very good cover for it. I left in my testament that I wanted to be there.
Fine. We'll do our best.
Hmm?
But you're going to outlive us all, Edith.
Pardon?
You're going to outlive us all. You can, okay.
I have to tell you something very
You can have a
strange.
statue of Poppy on your grave as well.
I haven't been back there for a long time. When I first came here, I lived with a black woman and Lola, and she committed suicide.
Yes, I
It's
think
a long
maybe you told me.
story.
Yeah.
She was also a friend of Si's, the most awful thing. And she was a wife of an English poet called, Irish poet, Fraser Cray. No, he's part of what's called Ceantaise.
Oh, right, okay.
And anyway, I went with a friend to find her grave again. And then there was one that we both liked, and it was completely wild, just wildflowers and a little broken column, that was all. And I said, Juliana, this is really the kind of grave I would like. And he said, well, look. On it was written, 2-hour Edith.
Ah.
The amazing thing about it is the many graves of children. Did you ever see that?
No.
No, there are lots of children there.
And then on many graves are dogs.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. There's that nice one with the young man sort of lying down.
Yes,
And he's got his
you can't
book.
forget it.
He's got his book and he's got his little dog,
Yes.
which is rather sweet. Eh?
That's one of the few paintings here that is bad.
Ah, it's Byron.
Something happened here. Actually, photograph it without the glass.
It's so dark that I've got very odd colors here, unfortunately. Is the island on that also?
A walk to the Rocchetta, and it's in memory to Elisabeth d'Armony. And I went up to the Rocchetta with her many times.
What's the Rocchetta?
It's the Rocchetta there above the house of La Etta, which is above La Serra di Lerici. I mean, they're all from the house La Serra di Lerici. Here is the little thing that you have one of. The Grecian urn. Some quite naughty. And then this is very bad in the afternoon. There's a shadow.
What's on the music? What's on the music?
Yes. It's a piece called The Crossing.
Called what?
The Crossing.
What are the letters in here? What are the letters in the case?
I don't know. I've been so engrossed by myself. Oh, Trelawney. That's a nice handwriting. You don't have a book, the Trelawney book. It's wonderful. I mean, that's all everything I know about them.
What Trelawney book?
Trelawney was what they call an adventurer, and he picked up Shelley and Byron, and he found them houses, and he did everything for them. And then he wrote this book about life with them, and it's very amusing. And then the end, when Shelley was shipwrecked, and he found the pieces of the body, and he cremated it. And there's that scene when then Byron came. Yes, I'll give you the book if I find. I think it's out of print.
What is this picture? What is this oil here?
This is one. And there's some here. So. And then this is the one on the invitation. That kind of a scrap of a thing. And then this one is the goddesses. Now. This is what the poets that wrote about me particularly like. It's Daphne, Persephone, and Athena. But Daphne is not a goddess, of course.
Do you know what this room was?
Hmm?
Do you know what this room was?
No. They were rooming houses, you know, they were very miserable little rooms that they were in. They thought in the book, they say also, they think it was very expensive for what it was. And that Goethe house, I think is from the same period. It's more or less like, they had little rooms like that too.
Hmm.
This is the Amerigo Vespucci, the boat.
What was the Amerigo Vespucci? What was the Amerigo Vespucci?
Well, it is. It's the training ship of the Italian Navy. And the doctor, the ship's doctor, he's bought several paintings of mine. He's a Spezzino, a friend of my friend Elisa, and he says, you know, it looks like some kind of a wonderful adventure when you see it going by on the horizon. It also went to New York, you know, when the tall ship sailing in the harbor of New York. And you see it going by and you think it's this marvelous romantic thing. And then Jacopo, he's called Giacomo Jacopo, and I forgot this doctor, he told me it's hell on wheels. It's just absolutely awful because there are 3,000 young men in it without any privacy. They all have hammocks, and they have suicide sometimes. They just can't stand it. And then actually the sun sort of sinking into the sea. I got that from an Etruscan tomb. One of them, the bulls. The sun is painted like that.
Hmm. Ah, and here's Wild.
There are these sonnets here of Keats, and they're illustrated by somebody who was at the opening, Angelica's brother, you know, Savigno. There's only one. Ruggero Savigno.
Hmm.
This is all. Very good painter, this Savigno. You know, his father was the famous, the brother of De Chirico.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Some people were shocked by that one. It's called Piss Stop on the way to Mycenae.
Excuse me? Pit stop?
Yes, because there's Orestes stands there making pee-pee, and that's from a tiepolo of a little angel on a cloud doing that. You see here he's peeing.
Where is he peeing? Oh, on the right side. Okay. No, but it looks like there's a woman peeing too.
Yes, she might. It's Electra. Orestes and Eureka on their way to kill the mother.
Looks like that Picasso of the pieces.
No, it's not. It's not like Picasso. I don't look Picasso.
The pose.
No, I don't think so.
You know that picture? That I'm,
No, I don't know which one.
there's a Picasso of a girl like that.
Oh,
pissing.
maybe unconsciously, I don't know. But I never look at Picasso, so it could be. I don't know. Okay, have you been to the Goethe house?
I haven't, no.
Well, it's more or less the same period, and it has no heart. This place has so much
Yeah, I know.
atmosphere.
No, I feel that.
And got absolutely nothing.
Where is the Goethe house? I don't know.
Down on the beginning of the corso, and it's always unpleasant. They always get in there just when they're about to close, and they have a guard who's very unpleasant. And there is such nice stories. There used to be all artists there, and they had little secret doors going into the courtyard because they had girls coming up the stairs. Roman prostitutes. And there's a wonderful drawing. He also had a poet, a painter going with him, Goethe. there's a wonderful drawing, and it's the only thing that was, maybe it's not even there, it's just only a copy. The first morning when Goethe was there, he stood in the window and he looked out. That was such a nice
I
drawing.
think it is there.
And his underwear.
Well, I don't know because I haven't been there, but my German teacher was telling me about it. I think she said it was
It's
there.
my mother's favorite drawing.
Oh.
It's very charming, you know. And it took me out on the forest. So, they sell it as a postcard. It's possible that it's in some German museum. And then he did that painting of Tischbein. He did a painting of Goethe on the Via Appia. Yeah, that's a famous one too. There are two versions of it. And I did a dog book, dog walk, 7 dog walks in Rome or more. And I had to have the dog lying on a column, just like Goethe.
And that one over there. You didn't
That's
tell
a
me
very
about that.
funny title, you know. That was the cover of Wandered in Rome once. Still live with a postcard from Maine when Jacob and Yoshiko got married without letting me know. This.
Where's
That's
the-
it.
oh, the
It's a
postcard.
lighthouse in Maine. This painting shouldn't, to me, it shouldn't be in a glass box, but it should be on a wall, but there wasn't any other space. And in this room I didn't want to touch.
It all looks so inevitable, you know. It all looks very inevitable.
I'm so happy.
The integration of the
And then, for instance, also the watercolors under glass. I had no idea about that. I thought we were all going to be in the glass cases, and then Sylvia said, "There's some extra space on the wall. Give me some glass." And then you see, Sylvia and I are both painters. We're both good at arranging things. You know. I mean, a box is nothing but an arrangement.
You know, I just now connected that this is an art show of contemporary art in a museum, like that. It's like that mix at the electrical place.
Yes.
Except this
This is
works.
something like that, yeah.
Except that there it seemed that
Yeah.
the context took away from the pieces.
No, but
and here
I
it
got
doesn't.
the idea completely. There was Palladino, who is one of the Transavanguardia. You know his work? Well, one of the most avant-garde painters in Italy. He did some drawings in some godforsaken little town out in the Lazio, where there'd been an amphitheater and Roman things, and even some Greek things, and he did drawings there. And he had a show of those drawings in the Museo Baracco, do you know that?
Mhm.
And
On
they were
Corte
all on
Victoria.
music stands against Greek and even Assyrian and Egyptian, all kinds of objects. And it was just very beautiful. That gave me the idea, really. I would have liked to have done it in the Baracco, too.
Well, no, but this is so appropriate.
So I think it's temporarily closed, the Baracco.
Do you remember the first time you came in this museum?
Hmm?
Do you remember the first time you came in the
Yes,
Keats-Shelley House?
Yes. Well, it's a long story. Actually, I got interested in the whole thing with Edwin Denby, and he took me. The lady who had, for many, many, many years, was the guardian, was Vera Cacciatore, and she was the daughter of one of Edwin's best friends, Olga Cacciatore, something, who was a Russian, and she wrote most of the books on Duse. And Edwin, one day in New York, said to me, Vera Cacciatore is coming from Rome, and she has something for the Morgan Library from the Keats Museum. What she actually had, I don't know. I asked Catherine, and we haven't figured out yet what it was. And there was a cocktail party in the Morgan Library to receive that stuff, whatever it was. And Edwin and I arrived in our little old dirty New York raincoats. And there were all these sponsors who were American millionaires. So our coats were hung among all these minks. And then we got into the room proper, and Edwin got so nervous he started lighting a cigarette under the Gutenberg Bible. And everybody came rushing to stop him. So that was my first the first idea. And then when I came here in '62, I wanted to say hello to Vera and her husband, but they were already then very interested in people. That was the first time I came here. Do you know what I have to show you, though, what I really love here? The only, Seven did all kinds of paintings of Keats, but the only really beautiful original are those two little drawings he did of him. Did you see them?
Sketches.
That's really, from my point, from art point of view, I think it's among the most beautiful things here. I don't know, in some places in galleries they really don't like the artists to stick around too much. And then there's a funny phenomenon also. Many friends that haven't come to the opening, they say, I want to come back to the show. When are you going to be there? That, as if I have to be there for them to look at it. I mean, you know, it's been here for 100 years in Rome, they really can't figure it out.
No. But they do
Then
come.
in Viareggio, they have a tiny little square in which there's a tiny little a bust of Shelley on a thing this high. It's really very, unless you look for it, you can't find it.
Yeah.
And on the postcards of this, it's spelled Lo-Shelley, L-O, and Chellli, or something like Lo-Shelley. And they're very proud of it. Oh, in that book, if you're still doing that, in that book by Trelawney, there is a little story that he was always, somehow Shelley was sort of flirting with death. And then once he took Jane, who was the lady he fell in love with after Mary, and they all lived together in San Terenzo di Lerici. And he took her out in this cockle shell of a boat. And he rowed around, and then he said at a certain point, he said, shall we now explore the great mystery? And she said, no, me and my children, we want to have dinner first. And then that book was given to me by Raxford Downes, the painter, and he himself got it from, I have it in my, Wordsworth, from a descendant of Wordsworth. Yes, the television people asked me what my message was.
And what did you say?
Well, first I said I didn't have a message. It's like there's this old story about Goldwyn Mayer, you know, the movie maker. They asked him, and he said to somebody, messages. If you want to give a message, go to Western Union. And then I kept on talking, and in the end I said, well, l'unica politica è la poesia. So they like that.
What does that mean? That's nicely ambiguous phrase.
Nicely
isn't
ambiguous, exactly. No, but it's also, I'm also serious, because I mean, poetry is more serious than politics in the end. That's all we have.
They're intertwined in the end.
I mean, that's my religion, really. Now, this is off the record. You know, I was sitting at the dinner next to the Carmela's husband.
Yeah. You said on the phone yesterday.
Sorry?
I don't even know what he looks like.